With that being said, though, let's kind of transition into streaming overall. Any last thoughts that you have on HBO Max?
I think so far so good. I honestly didn't think they had any chance being this late into the game, especially with
Right.
Disney Plus popping off a
The
year
bundle.
ago. Yeah, the bundle. Yeah, exactly. That bundle's killer, man. I thought honestly that they were too late and they couldn't really offer anything, especially since kind of the Game of Thrones season finale was not kind of. It was a negative connotation with fans and the general
Mhm.
public. It was trending to hate on it, and it's still trending to hate on it and diminish the whole series based on the last season. Maybe in a few years we'll look at it through a whole perspective and not just want to slam the last season and just basically
Yep.
shit on the whole thing. But I think coming from that and then having the critical darling of Watchmen and then having now Lovecraft Country and then whatever
And
else shows they got coming out is a nice step in the direction. I mean, I wish them
mhm.
the best because
Snyder
we
Cut.
Snyder Cut. Oh god, dude. Oh, I want to see superheroes in a mature, edgy, sophisticated way that makes me think about philosophy and life and question my identity in existence. And I can only do this through a Zack Snyder film. Yeah,
Oh man.
yeah, man. Oh, jeez. Yeah,
Yeah.
those. But yeah, moving on. Moving
Right.
on, man. HBO Max is the home for that mature content that you can't get anywhere else. That's the right spot for them, and that'll hopefully that might even get these other streaming platforms to up their game a little bit.
Moving on just to the larger conversation of the streaming platforms. So we got what all do we got right now? I'm not gonna try to run down all of them. I'm just gonna talk about and then there's a free one from NBC called Peacock, but
Uh,
it's free, and I mean they're on their way up too, I guess. But you know what I'm saying. Anyways, as far as the ones that matter right now, we have Hulu, which is under that Disney umbrella, or at
yeah.
least the perception of it is because it's a part of the bundle. But Hulu is still treated as a standalone streaming service. We got Hulu, obviously we got Netflix, which is still the juggernaut, but again, it's catered towards everyone. Everybody has their go-to on Netflix. We have HBO Max jumping into the ring now. We got Amazon Prime, and as of right now, I'm gonna say not the most disappointing, but underwhelming and disappointing are the same words pretty much. But I'm gonna say Disney Plus 1 year later. Do you feel as though Disney Plus has been underwhelming?
I think that if you look at the quality shows, the new content that they're making for the platform, definitely. I mean, you only have the Mandalorian is the only thing, the only worthwhile show on that whole platform, man. Is one Star Wars show a year later, and it's still headed into season 2 this fall. The only show that's offered any kind of excitement and content that people really like and enjoy.
Right.
And Mulan did not deliver. I think it's safe to say Mulan was not that for sure hit that they thought it would be on Disney Plus. I mean, it had people talking, but mostly negative reviews and mostly negative opinions about that film.
Yeah,
But
because that's still $1 billion that's on the table.
right,
That was on the table right there.
I think Disney Plus. I think they're putting a lot of eggs in one basket with the MCU shows. I think
Mm.
that's pretty much going to be their big juggernaut that they're waiting on to deliver. And because of the pandemic or because of scheduling conflicts, I think this slow burn waiting for these Marvel shows is what's really keeping them afloat in the perception of the public. To be honest with you, I mean, WandaVision trailer just
Man,
dropped. It's already got people hyped and some excitement for the streaming platform. I mean, honestly, Marvel is such a juggernaut that you could literally just they could have their own streaming platform, and I think people would pay for just a Marvel streaming platform. To be quite frank with you, man, especially if you got shows that are canon and preludes to the actual MCU film.
right. And
Right.
there's no drop off in quality in terms of the way that it looks. Visually, from what I've seen in that trailer, it does not look to be too much different from what I've seen in the movie theater. Whereas on our beloved Netflix TV series, you could see that the budget was not the same.
The WandaVision trailer has a higher budget than probably the whole season of, let's just say, Iron
Iron
Fist or
Fist.
Jessica Jones. So
I like how we both said Iron Fist, but
you're right,
yeah,
right.
digress, right?
I mean, the fact that we're getting the actors from the movies, and they're really treating it with some respect and really giving it their all with it. I mean, Anthony, I'm really waiting for that Falcon Winter Soldier, man. Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan are gonna freaking kill that thing, man. Like the recent casting of She-Hulk, having her solo series on Disney Plus. Yeah, they banking on Marvel right now. They're banking on Marvel. Star Wars, The Mandalorian is pretty big. It's the only thing that's keeping them in the in relevancy, honestly. Disney original content, to be quite
Where,
frank,
yeah, where's it at?
yeah, it's nowhere to be found. And that's one of the things that the hardcore Disney fans are kind of having some issues with Disney, is that the original creations are gone to a certain degree, where they're kind of becoming like almost a mall of IPs. You have
Oh
Star
man, talk
Wars,
about
you
it.
got Marvel, you got ESPN, you got Pixar. So they're not even producing that Disney magic anymore. They're just pretty much buying everybody up and then just
Cashing in.
cashing in. So, and I think the Disney Plus channel is really kind of showing that, because there's no original Disney content on there that you're really genuinely excited for or want to see.
Mm-hmm.
I know they got Lady and the Tramp. They got a couple of things coming out. We'll see how that goes, but it's nothing. The quality of that is not the same. It doesn't look like it's produced for the big screen. It definitely looks like it's produced for television, and it definitely looks like it doesn't have the budget as a standard Disney production with some of these shows that they got coming up. Disney Plus is still, just based on the name alone and the branding of Disney, it's still a formidable entry in the streaming wars. I think if they can get all of their act together and not just rely on Marvel and Star Wars, I think they're definitely a force not to be reckoned with, going for that number 2 spot for Netflix, because I think statistically speaking, they are number 2 already. I think still far away from Netflix, but they got some great numbers from the get-go based on the strength of the brand alone. And I think it's going to get closer, because when these Marvel shows hit, let me tell you, man, they're going to be the talk of the town. No doubt about it, man. It's definitely going to get there once these shows hit. And can they rely on that solely to get up there? No. I think that they're going to have to provide something else on
Mm-hmm.
some other fronts, make sure they can even get more into the fight with Netflix. Still a little bit too early to tell, but they definitely already have their gun loaded with Marvel. And Star Wars outside the Mandalorian is a little bit tricky, because that Obi-Wan Kenobi series got delayed, and that's a little bit in turmoil right now due to scheduling, and I think even the script was a little bit too similar to the Mandalorian, where you have Obi-Wan Kenobi looking after baby Luke, and yeah, there's problems with that. So, and yeah, and then even the Mandalorian season 2, there seems to be some rumored trouble with this whole new season, with the main actor supposedly quitting halfway through the season. So, and the Mandalorian, because Disney has such a great track record with Star Wars. So,
Uh,
I had to throw it in there, man. I just
so
Disney Star Wars, you gotta throw a job in there, man.
so with that being said, then I mean, it sounds like we're being very analytical right now. But to get back to the demographic conversation here for a second, well, what you were just saying, shows like WandaVision, a Loki TV series, a Falcon and Winter Soldier TV series, She-Hulk. Let's get back to demographics here. Who are the target audience for that type of content? I still think the target audience for that type of content is us. We are still the target demographic for that. If
Mm-hmm.
this type of content is what's driving the numbers and subscriptions for this network, it's still going to be a failure it's still going to keep Netflix in that top spot because it's not appealing to everyone who's there. It's not appealing to everyone who's there because, again, the Disney catalog, the Disney library, aside from a few newer IPs, is what the term we'll use. Is for aside from something like a Frozen or something like that. I mean, if I'm on Disney Plus, if me and my wife are just chilling in the crib and I'm on Disney Plus, it's like, oh shit, they got Smart Guy on here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Let me go ahead and watch a couple episodes of Smart Guy. Oh shit, they got Honey I Shrunk the
The
Kids on,
kids?
man.
Oh,
Let me go ahead and yeah.
wait, they got Goof Troop? What?
Right,
You know?
exactly. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Again, even though some of the content is on the lighter side, it's not as heavy or it's not as grim or gritty or whatever term the internet wants to use for adult focused content. We're still the demographic for it because we're familiar with what's in that catalog. I think that's where the issue really lies in terms of everything there. The reason why Netflix is the baddest one on the block is because it is a universal app that everyone knows how to use. You don't get caught up in too many menus. Yes, there's a lot of content. Yes. You could literally spend more time scrolling through Netflix trying to find something to watch than actually spend time watching it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But with that being said, there's so much content on there because it appeals to every demographic, even though it's a Disney app that's supposed to be meant for kids, or at least at its inception, Disney kind of focused towards that audience, but made you feel like your whole family could be there. We grew up with Disney. We grew up with your Toy Stories. We grew up with your Goof Troops, shit like that. That's us. That's our childhood, right?
Right.
Content like the Avengers, the MCU, Star Wars. Again, who are they playing to? They're playing to us. If we're going to be the ones who are driving up the numbers and ratings, even though I'm not sure how you track ratings on a streaming app, but if we're the
Mm-hmm.
ones who are going out of our way to see what it is that they have to offer, it's almost like you're dooming yourself to stay in that number two spot.
Mm.
Because even if HBO Max is in that second spot or that third spot, they can still rely on the fact that their content is at a higher level, right? Is watching anything on Disney Plus going into it with the assumption that this is something that's going to push the medium or change the way that you look at a genre for whatever the TV show or the movie fits into.
True. True. And HBO Max has consistency. They're having
Yep.
consistent shows coming out. HBO Max has consistent shows and consistent content coming out to keep you on their streaming platform all year round. After
Oh,
The Mandalorian season 1, what the fuck did you have to watch on Disney Plus?
it got a little cold. It
It
got
got
cold,
cold.
man.
Let's be honest. It got cold. You can only watch so many reruns of, your childhood until you're like, okay, like I got my film, man. It's Saturday morning. I got my bowl of cereal, watching my old retro, reliving the childhood for 3 hours, and like I'm done. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
After that, you're gonna go on Disney Plus to watch what until the Mandalorian season 2 comes out.
Yep. I
Quiet.
agree with you. I agree with
Right.
you 100% there.
Right.
100%. Not saying that they're going to be in trouble because they're not, but it's going to take more if they want to take down the big dogs on the block. It was wise, and I'm not sure how much of a conflict of interest it really is because I mean Hulu operates in a different lane. Hulu operated as Netflix Lite
Right.
for a while. And in many ways, it still is Netflix Lite. But with Disney Plus taking off the way that it did, that put Hulu in that third to fourth spot now because I liked Hulu. I paid for Hulu up until it didn't make sense to pay for it anymore. When the bundle came out,
Yeah.
it was like, why am I going to continue paying $11.99 a month for Hulu when Disney Plus is offering this app as a part of the bundle for $12.99. So I just decided, you know what? I'm gonna chill out on Hulu and I'm gonna wait. I'm not even paying for Disney Plus right now because they got to get it together a little bit.
Yeah.
But with Hulu, it's not necessarily a conflict of interest, but it's kind of like they got pushed to the side a little bit. They were operating in a space where, okay, they were operating in that different space from Netflix. On Netflix, you could binge watch whatever it is that was on there. You could do some of that with Hulu, but Hulu also kept you in tune with your shows as they were going on during their season. That's still a lane that they could operate in, but as some of these networks that had shows that were streaming on Hulu start to develop their own streaming services, it might get to a point where Hulu could become obsolete and they might end up getting pushed out.
Yeah,
I
that's a possibility.
I do know that the FX network is still operating on cable, but they're doing next day streaming all of their TV series. So Hulu is like the exclusive streaming platform for everything that's on that network, which is smart. It's cool, but I don't know that I feel the same way about Hulu as I did maybe 2 years ago as I
Mhm.
do today.
I mean, Disney could just give the whole Fox catalog and just put it on Hulu, or maybe continue some Fox IPs on that streaming platform. But I do think it was put on the back burner for the launch of Disney Plus. And
You're right. And it's
yeah,
crazy because even going further, bro, I forgot that The Simpsons was on Disney Plus. I forgot that was even on there. But then again, I don't watch The Simpsons anymore, anyways. That entire catalog is on Disney Plus.
right. The best things on Disney Plus isn't Disney related. So that's a problem they got to fix. And it shouldn't be crickets between every single big thing they got. Like WandaVision comes out, oh man, dope. I gotta wait 6 months for Falcon and Winter Soldier to drop. Now I got nothing. They can't be so hot, cold. Like they gotta have definitely some consistency in whether they release a Marvel show and then they release a Star Wars show and then they release a Marvel show, or some kind of balance, man.
Yep.
But
I was just gonna say, in this era, I think premium content kind of goes out of the window when there are so many options. When there's
mm,
so much to actually choose from, not everything is going to hit, not everything is going to be that same level of quality, but it's almost kind of like how the music industry is now as well. In music now, artists put out so much music at a high volume now. At least newer artists do because they're trying to make their mark.
mm,
Everything they put out might not hit, but just for the simple fact that they're still putting out music keeps them out there. It keeps them, it gives them a level of notoriety to where when they do actually make it big and put out that hit record, it makes their entire catalog that much more important because then you might go back to that artist catalog and be like, okay, well, damn, I didn't know that before this one song they put out, they already put out 2 albums earlier this year and a mixtape. Every
right, right.
rapper, every rapper except for Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole, damn near put out 2 albums every year now.
Pretty much. It's like the
Just
industry standard.
just oh my god, I'm glad you used that word. Industry standard.
Mhm.
So, what is the industry standard on streaming platforms?
Oh man, that's a little bit of a tough one. The industry standard for streaming platforms, the industry standard is to try to keep your attention for you to not turn the channel. And I
Mm,
think is to provide some kind of hit show or hit movie as consistent as you can, whether it's like one every month. You need to have something to keep them on your streaming platform and not jumping around. I don't really have a really answer for what would be the standard of an industry
right.
standard for streaming because
Yes.
still a gray area. Still
Yep.
a gray area. Maybe that'll be defined as the years come. We don't really even know how much money they're really making off of
Man.
these shows per se. We don't necessarily know. And I think the original content, the exclusive content is definitely going to be the defining moment for some of these platforms where if they can't deliver that and on a consistent basis, they're going to continually to fall behind. And I also think I don't know what's going on with NBC. I don't know what the hell they're going with Star Trek streaming on different shit when sometimes you got to pay for it, sometimes you don't. I think some of these movie companies definitely trying to pull their catalog to launch their own streaming. It's some of their catalogs are just not strong enough, and I think, man, like Universal is like they got some hard hit. They have Back to the Future, they got Jurassic Park, they got Men in Black,
Fast
you know,
and Furious.
Fast and Furious, right? You have the Mummy trilogy, the classic monster trilogies. They have a quite impressive catalog, but nowhere outlet to really put it because they're so far behind. Can you even compete? How do you even compete
Man,
with an HBO Max?
yeah, you talking some talk right now, bro. No, like that's a fact because at the end of the day, yes, it's still HBO Max is almost like the storefront for Time Warner as a media company. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
literally, that's what HBO Max is. HBO Max is an operating wing for the entire empire.
like literally DC streaming platform literally cut all their television programming, put it to HBO Max, and basically said, guess what? You're paying for a comics distribution service where you can read all the DC comics you want for the same price you're paying for exclusive TV shows. I want to see Harley Quinn cartoon season 2, and it's not on here. It's now on HBO Max. So you telling me I got to now pay for HBO Max for the shows I was just watching on here, in addition to keeping it? Oh hell no, this shit gotta go. Nope.
Cut the shit, man. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's some Vince McMahon type shit right there, right? I mean, another
Right.
streaming service. You got the WWE Network. I mean, I don't pay for it. I don't got $10 a month to spend on watching old wrestling tapes. But prime example. I mean, the same situation. If I'm a WCW fan from back in the day, obviously there's no WCW that's around anymore. The only way I could watch Hulk Hogan versus Sting at Starcade is if I'm paying $9.99 a month to get the WWE network.
Are you searching hard on eBay for those DVDs?
Yeah, you piecing out whatever you can on YouTube. You know what I'm saying?
Which is most of us what we're doing.
Yeah, yeah. You piece hell yeah. Yeah. So it's one of them situations. Like the industry standard could be twofold, just to kind of wrap up and bring it full circle. There
Okay.
could be two industry standards. One of them has to be the continuous stream of original content. It always has to be there. There always has to be something else to watch after you're done watching your main TV series, right? There always
Right.
has to be that next thing that you want your consumer to be around, to stick around. I think the second industry standard is going to end up having to be cornering the market on something that brings in a fan base, and everything that we've been saying about Disney and Disney Plus in relation to the Star Wars content and the MCU content is what they did there. They cornered the market on something that had an established fan base and brought it in under the umbrella because they knew that the consumer base is going to go to them to get it, right?
Yep.
HB, HBO, they got to go all in with this DC thing. Time Warner, whatever, they got to go all in with it. It really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have anything running separate from that main app to bring in consumers. So whatever what's the app for the DC? Is it DC
Oh,
Unlimited? They just need to fold. All that shit needs to fold over and just be under that umbrella of HBO Max. They need to corner the market on all of that content to make that the only place that you can get it. And I think eventually that will be one of the other industry standards. Wait for the day when, like, let's say Nickelodeon, for example. I mean, I don't watch Nickelodeon anymore. We all grew up with Nickelodeon. That's a staple of our childhood, right?
Right.
A day is gonna have to come where Nickelodeon is gonna get folded into Netflix or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The market is gonna have to get cornered on whatever they have in their catalog and library to where it's a one-stop shop and it's a part of whatever subscription you're already paying for. At the end of the day, it's all business, and eventually that's what's going to happen anyways. Eventually, the market is going to get cornered on all of this stuff once the money is consolidated and the content is put in that pocket. It's going to be exactly what you get on the WWE network. Oh, you grew up watching AWA wrestling? Cool. It's right here. You grew
Yeah.
up watching Mid South, or you was a fan of the NWA territories. Oh, ECW? Cool. It's right here.
Right here. Yep.
Like, it has to get to that point because, like, okay, I remember when I literally can recall the Boondocks being available on Netflix, then being available on Hulu, and
Hmm.
now it's on HBO Max.
I vaguely remember it on Hulu. Never saw it on
Yep.
Netflix.
I remember when Regular Show was on Netflix first,
Mm-hmm.
then it went over to Hulu, whole bunch of shit. Sons of Anarchy. I watched all 7 seasons of Sons of Anarchy on Netflix. It got pulled, and now the only place you can watch reruns of that show is on Hulu. So eventually, yes, there's a time where this content operates in that free space where, a streaming platform can sign a contract with the network to where, yeah, you get the reruns here. But that's not going to last long forever, or that's not going to last forever because eventually it all goes under one umbrella. Like, to this day, it surprises me that the Breaking Bad movie El Camino that came out last year went to Netflix first,
Yeah.
even though Breaking Bad was an exclusive to AMC Network. Like, that's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, that is pretty weird, man. And I think, like you said, like, was it the Fresh Prince reunion shows on HBO Max? And that was produced by NBC, I believe, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That just tells you how NBC doesn't have they don't have an outlet to put their shit on. Like you said, they might have to just put you might see Jurassic Park trilogy on HBO Max. Maybe there's a partnership that comes for some of these companies. There is no more wiggle room. There is no space. There is no piece of the pie left from some of these
Mm-hmm.
companies. You're gonna have
So,
to, like you said, go underneath one umbrella and strike a deal and say, hey, we'll put it on your platform. We want X, Y, and Z percentage. All right,
mm-hmm.
cool. Let's take down Disney
Yep.
or
Like
Netflix.
like yep.
Yeah.
Like the great Beanie Siegel said in a movie called State Property. You either get down or lay down. you either Yep. You either get down or lay down, man. But I think we could wrap it up there. For anyone that's listening on YouTube, I know this was a little bit long-winded, but that comment section, go ahead, let us know how you feel about the streaming wars.